The Chamber of Haunters, uniting the haunt industry.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful April day. I am so excited to see you here. I am Keone Hutton, one of the hosts of the Haunting You podcast, and I am here with my co-host, Leslie Reed, to facilitate this discussion that we're going to have today. This is the April Lunch and Learn hosted by the Chamber of Haunters, and it is the fourth time that we are getting together and having one of these sessions. If you have not been with us previously, welcome. Glad you're here. You can find all of the previous Lunch and Learns on our YouTube page. That's youtube.com/hauntingyou, just the letter U. There is a library with just the Lunch and Learn, so you can go back and see anything that we have done in any of the previous sessions. Normally, we would have a spotlight of a haunt, but the one that we had scheduled for this month, I'm going to just say fell through. So we do not have a spotlight, but that means we get to jump right in to the main topic. And our...
Do you remember what the main topic is and who's joining us?
I do remember what the main topic is. So let me start by introducing our lecturer, Mr. Dave Ferrier from Fearschool.com. Welcome back to the Lunch and Learns. We're so excited to see you again.
Thank you, and I'm excited to be here for the second time.
I'll just kind of turn it over to you and kind of let you introduce your topic and run.
Sure, absolutely. If you could just hand over the reins again, that would be great. And then we're going to jump right in. I appreciate everyone being early. We're on time. I know it notified you we started the session early, so I appreciate that.
Alrighty, and for those of you who have joined us before, and for those of you who are new, if you guys have questions or comments or things, go ahead and either put them in the chat or in the questions box, and we will be responding as we go. And then in addition to that, we will also have several polls that'll come up during the class. So as those pop up, if you guys want to just respond, and we'll use that to continue getting us where we need to go. But all that said, from a housekeeping perspective, take it away.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I really try and keep this as interactive as possible. I've been presenting for a long time. And with that, I'm going to just mute my microphone for 1 second. And here we go, everyone.
Black maze, red lights, mask on, heart tight. I jump, they shove, they call me names, not love. Plastic cup flies, stings my eyes. I step back, breathe, radio shakes on my sleeve. Who needs something? I do. Who do you need when it cuts right through? What do you need when the fear gets loud? Where do you need it in this haunted crowd? Four needs in the dark. Say it clear, say it bright. Four needs in the dark. That's how you get saved. They spit that heat, try to make me small. You step between, you answer my call. Clipboard night in a polo shirt. You say you're safe, no scare is worth you hurt. Who needs something? I do. Who do you need when it cuts right through? What do you need when the fear gets loud? Where do you need it in this haunted crowd? Four needs in the dark. Say it clear, say it curse if they cross that line. I name what I need, that lifeline's mine. You show up, you show face, you stand right here. 4 little questions cut through the fear. Get saved.
All right, excellent. So as fun as that song, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. It's going to be very relevant to what we're talking about today. And Keone, can you just make sure you can still see and hear me okay, along with my presentation?
I can. It looks good.
Fantastic. All right, so today our topic is Monsters Behave, managing guest chaos and staff slip-ups like a professional. And here's who I am. This is what I look like typically in character. So my name is Dave Ferrier. I have created Fearschool.com, and I'll talk about that in 1 second. I've been a scare actor, a manager, and designer. This will be year 18 for me. I'm also a member of SAG-AFTRA, so I've done acting in TV and movies and commercials and that sort of thing. If you Google my name, my IMDb page is the first one that comes up. These are the various haunts that I've worked at in my 18-year career. The current one I'm at is at the top, Hallow Spire. Last year was our first year, and this year is going to be our second year where I am the scare director. So I'm not only in charge of the actors, but I walk around in this costume, getting my scare fix as well, and taking care of the actors while I'm doing that. My briefest commercial ever about Fearschool.com. So I have this business where I will actually come to your haunt and train your not only your actors, but your managers. Managers is something I think there's too little training focused on. Today's training is going to focus slightly on that. The other thing I can help you with is help you run auditions. Also looking at your HR practices and policies. I will eventually be doing a session on that sort of topic, but those are the sort of things I can help you with. All right, let's talk about our agenda. I'm going to just bring all the items up here on the screen. So we're going to talk about what's unique about scare acting. If you've attended a session before with me, this may be familiar. We'll talk about the state of safety reporting in the haunted attraction industry. It's really not where it needs to be. Briefly talk about policies. I don't want this to be a whole policy discussion. We're going to simplify actor actions and responses. I've read too many handbooks where if a guest does this, then you should do this. But if they do this, then you should. I think too often handbooks make it so complicated for actors, whether you're a veteran or newbie. And I think I found a way to help simplify that. The song that you listen to, this is a new system that I have come up with. When it comes to radio procedures, I think it's extremely easy to remember, easy to implement, and we'll even try and do an exercise with you guys to see how you do on it. And then we're going to watch a bunch of different examples. I created these videos last weekend with some of my actors. These are legit scenarios. All of these things that you will see in the videos have really happened or I've had to deal with in my haunt career. So these are not made up. These are not hypothetical. These are things that have really happened. And we're going to talk about what happened as well as one option of how to potentially deal with it. One thing I want to make really clear is I'm presenting you guys some content on one potential way of doing something. Let's say it's dealing with a guest who pushed an actor. Just because my way of dealing with it is method A, I am not saying that this is the only way to deal with it. I think too often, and any of you who saw my my Facebook posts announcing this session, depending on what Facebook group you're in, there was some, I'll call it spirited discussion on my content here. Not everyone agrees with it, and that's okay. I think the whole point is let's just have a cordial discussion about it. You can totally disagree with my method. I don't mind that. I collaborate with all of the other haunt trainers around the country. We don't even agree on everything, and that's totally okay. But we are cordial and collaborate and talk with one another. So you guys can put this in the chat. Here's what I'd like you to do. Just name some forms of live entertainment. Anything that you would go see or experience in person where it's live. So for example, a movie, unless you're watching like Rocky Horror Picture Show with a shadow cast, that would be an example, I guess. So if you can put in the chat some forms of live entertainment, that would be fantastic. Concerts, I see, that's one, absolutely. What are some other forms of live entertainment that you guys have gone to? I'm sure some of you have gone to some form. County fair, absolutely. Let's see if we can get one or two more, and then I'll bring up improv. Perfect. Improv is a very necessary skill for being a scare actor, especially if you're line entertainment or a cue line actor. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just bring up a huge variety. These are more categories, you know, for example, like I've got sports there, but if you said like football or soccer, you know, those are all bullfighting. Those are all examples there. Now, what I want to know is what is unique about our haunted attraction industry compared to all other forms of live entertainment. And I feel really safe in asking this. What's unique about working in the haunt industry compared to any of those other forms of live entertainment that you saw on the screen? You scare people. Yes, that is one thing that is different from, for example, going to an improv show. I hope the comedian there is not there to scare you. So that's one example there. You guys, a couple more seconds. So if you're not sure how to do the chat, if you're on mobile, you just tap on a blank area of the screen, and it should give you the menu options to whether it's to unmute your microphone and answer verbally, or the chat icon. That's how you can respond to us. That's also how I'll be doing the polls here. All right, so here's the thing that I have found is unique about being a scare actor and working in this industry. We are the only form of live entertainment where guests come with the intent to make us fail. And if you've been a scare actor for one season or longer and had to deal with inappropriate guests, you'll probably be smiling and nodding along with this statement. There are guests who are coming to our haunts, and their form of entertainment is to try and get us to break character, is to get up in our face, is to hide in our spot and think they're going to scare their friends, sort of thing. So what I want to know in the polls is, do you agree with me? And it's okay if you don't. Do you think, or have you experienced that guests do show up, not everyone, some, with the intent to make us fail, whether that's breaking character, whether that's being physical or verbally abusive? I want to see how many of you agree with that statement. So I got one person to answer so far. I'll show you guys the results in a second here. Again, doesn't hurt to answer the poll. It should be pretty easy. Run on your screen. You can literally just click yes or no and submit. But so far, it's 100% that you guys agree with guests. Oh, now I got 2. Thank you for that. Do you guys agree? 3, fantastic. This is part of that interactivity where I'm getting you guys to participate. So fantastic. So show you guys the results. You should see that on the screen. So yes, 100% of you agree that some guests do arrive with the goal of making us fail. And because that is true, there are some things that we need to deal with. By the way, I strongly recommend this statement that you see here on the screen when you are talking with your actors, whether or not you do formal actor training, or even if you're just going over the handbook, tell them this. Tell them to expect this, that they will be dealing with guests whose who fun is to come and ruin the night. I think it'll just set the expectation for what life is like as a scare actor, especially if they've never done it. So we just answered that poll. So I just have this grid here. Hopefully it might not be that viewable on mobile, but I'll go over it briefly. So here's just a comparison of live sort of performances that are somewhat similar to scare acting. So for example, costume performers at a theme park like at Disney, theater actors who are on stage, or like comedy performers or someone at a concert. And on the grid here, you can see a comparison of the environments, comparison of the guest behavior risk level. Scare actors, very high. And some of the reasons I'll show you in some press releases and some examples in a second. I would challenge you to name me the last time you saw an article about Mickey Mouse being punched at Disney World. Yeah, and if it happens, it's super rare and it makes the news. Us getting assaulted, being scare actors, doesn't often make the news because, unfortunately, it's considered almost expected and common, which it really shouldn't be. We deserve the same amount of safety as anyone else. To go along with safety, I've got another poll for you guys before I bring up my next topic. So what I want to know is, does your haunt track incidents and or industries? In other words, whether it's a manager or an owner, someone actually writes down in some form, whether it's on a piece of paper or a spreadsheet or whatever, injuries or incidents, like a guest pushing an actor or something like that, or an actor gets hurt and needs EMT, or even a guest, gets hurt. Do you guys track? And please be honest, I'm not keeping track of who answered what, and it's fine if the answers are no or if you're not sure. I'm loving the responses here because it is literally like, I have all 4 answers so far. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the results here, which is extremely interesting, but I'm not surprised at all. One person says yes, very detailed. Another says only if it's serious. One says no, and then one says I'm not even sure if we track it. And that's okay. That's totally fine. So because of the way you guys answered, this really validates what I'm about to show you on this slide here. And it surprised me a little bit when I started looking into this. So there are government safety agencies that, track injuries and incidents to workers in various industries. However, OSHA and then this other one, NIOSH, do not track, or any other watchdog group, track injuries for haunted attraction workers. No one in the government or any other organization tracks injuries to us. And there's also little research that's been done on it. There's no statistics. I have looked. So if you said, Dave, how many scare actors are injured in the US in 2025? I don't know. There isn't. And if someone says they have that information, I would disagree with that. No one is tracking that. You guys even validated that. You're not even sure in some cases if your haunt does, or you say your haunt doesn't keep track of it. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying it's just a fact. There also isn't a reporting method. So even if a group wanted to track it, there isn't even a way to get that information from them. And you guys just validate what I said. Some haunts don't even bother to keep track of this. So here's just some newsworthy guest behavior. These things have made it in the news. So a guest crop dusted in the stretching room. By the way, this is at the Haunted Mansion at Disney World. A guest spread human ashes, verbally confronting and getting close to actors, assaulted multiple actors, physically attacking other guests, belligerent and harassed actors, sexually harassed actors. So this is only in the last 3 years. So 2023 to 2025, it is very easy to find news articles of actors, of guest misbehavior, essentially. Now, conversely, there is also staff misbehavior, and we're going to talk about both of these topics today. So I'm not going to read all of these, but hostile work environment, indecent exposure, a sexual assault, guest was injured running from an actor. And the very last one there, that's why I'm not even going to mention the name. We're all aware of the one, and they're not a haunted attraction, of the one infamous thing that has tried to give our industry a bad name. So I'm not even going to mention that, but it's made the news quite a bit. All right, let's talk briefly about handbook policy. So I've got another poll for you guys before I go into this. So of these, and you can only pick one, which of the following do you think causes the most problems at your haunt? Guests who touch actors, guests who verbally abuse actors, attendants, actors who just don't show up or call out the last minute, harassment or bullying, whether that's from guests or actors, or just poor communication. We just don't know how to talk amongst ourselves. So please take a second and tell me at your haunt, pick one. And I realize there might be more categories in this, but of the ones you see here, which one of these do you think is most common or causes the most problems at your haunt? And I've got quite a mix here. So I give you guys about 10 more seconds to answer the poll before I close it and show you what the results are. Got about 4 people have answered. That's fantastic. 5, wonderful. And this is an example of the sort of data that is really valuable that we just don't have as an industry. Wouldn't it be great to say, hey, the most common types of misbehavior from guests is actually verbal instead of physical? Let's focus our training on that. But right now we don't have any sort of data like that. So let me show you guys what you said. So the top one and the bottom one are tied. So guests who touch actors, not surprised there, along with poor communication, and then attendance and callouts. So those are some things that are all haunts pretty much deal with. So I'm going to briefly just talk about policies. I don't want this to be a whole handbook thing, but I have read not only and written lots of handbooks for haunts, but I've also read handbooks from other haunts. So this is just a list of typical policies that you would find in an actor's handbook. I've grouped them into probably ones that get actually used versus I sign the book and I'll never have to deal with it. Of these, the 4 that I've highlighted are really the ones that are going to cover in today's session: harassment or bullying, unruly guests, drugs, alcohol, smoking, vaping, or weapons. So those are the ones we're going to focus on today. Now, if you guys have ability to type in the chat, that would be great. If you had to break down the 2 most common actions that guests do, what would they be? And you guys can put that in the chat. What are the 2, if you had to break it down, what are the 2 things that guests can do as they're coming through our attraction? Not, and I don't mean like scream or things like that. I'm talking just in general. What do you think guests can do if you had to really break this down and make it simple? If you were explaining this to a brand new scare actor. So I'll wait and see. You guys a second to type anything into the chat. Freeze up, sure. They could do that. I'll give you guys about 5 more seconds to see if you're able to take a guess, and it's all right if you're not sure. That's why we're doing this. All right, so breaking this down, because I think in some cases we've made our handbooks too complicated. There are 2 things guests can do for the most part. It's either physical or verbal. That's it. They can do something physically to us or the set or whatever, or they can say something. That's as simple as it gets. They can't mentally assault us. I mean, if they're thinking something in their head but don't do anything, like freeze up, for example. So something as Josh put, invade actor personal space. Yes, absolutely. I would group that into physical. So that's really it. Guests can do 2 things, physical or verbal. And now of that, there are 2 flavors of that. It's accidental. And I'll actually show you a video on this. They bump into us, we bump into them, whatever. It's not on purpose and it's not harmful. And then the other one in white, under verbal, it's annoying. Yeah, they call us ugly. They say we smell. Yeah, that's annoying. It's not funny, but it's not really harmful. It's not something I would report. Conversely, there are deliberate. A guest who chooses to put his hands on an actor. A guest who chooses to make inappropriate comments to an actor. Those are totally different. Reflex punches. Yeah, I would call that. Hopefully it wouldn't be a punch, Steve. I would hope it would just be, some hands up sort of thing. Reflex punch. Yeah, I would consider that almost deliberate in that case, certainly harmful. And this is where, just like I was telling you, Steve, intent matters. Okay, and so again, we've got our physical and verbal. That's really the only 2 things guests can do. Accidental contact, it's going to happen. It's just part of the gig. Deliberate contact is something a guest chooses to do. Annoying language, it's meant to get attention. Abusive language, it's meant to intimidate or control. Again, intent, why is the guest doing this, really matters as to what that actor or whoever it is going to do next. So this is where I've tried to break down easy to remember, what should an actor do if these things happen. So here's the guest behavior. So we're gonna focus on these two things again. It's touching or it's verbal, and it's either harmful or not harmful. A guest touches a set prop or actor. Let's say it's an accidental reaction scare, not harmful. The actor, what should the actor do? What should the actor say? No touching. Now, there are ways to say that in character, and I'll show you a video example of that. So that's where the little zombie guy is. I'm saying that actor can react to that accidental reaction scare in character and remind the guest, don't touch the actors. I think that's totally doable. And that's how, in my belief anyway, that's how actors should react. Conversely, a guest who does something harmful, deliberately pushes an actor, punches, whatever it is. Again, that actor, no touching. Now, in this case, in character or out of character, I am totally okay with that as a manager. Plus, get on the radio or whatever form of communication is and let management know, or security, that happened. And we're going to talk about radio procedures throughout this presentation here. So here's the verbal part. A guest says mean things to an actor. You're ugly, you smell, you're not scary, I saw you, whatever it is. Respond in character. This is where that improv skill comes in. No radio needed. At least I don't think so. The opposite effect, something abusive. I'm not going to verbally say anything abusive in the session here. You guys have probably heard it. You all know what it is. That actor is certainly welcome to say, stop that sort of behavior. And again, can do it for my actors, they can do that in character or out of character. And the next step is going to get on the radio and let me know exactly what happened. So as a manager, I can deal with that. So I hope what I've just broken down here, it should be so simple when you are doing your sessions with your actors. There's two things guests can do. It's physical or verbal, and it's either harmful or not harmful. And then they take action based on that. I think hopefully this is really simple to remember. All right, let's do another poll here. So some of you guys mentioned about communication, so I'll be interested to see what you have to say. How effectively do you think your staff uses radios, walkie-talkies, or if you communicate some other method, if you have some sort of chat application, or maybe you have runners, or maybe the actor just has to go find a zone manager or something like that. How effective is whatever that method is at your haunt? You're awesome at it. We're okay, but we could do better. Takes multiple tries to get the message understood and acted upon, or we don't use anything. So go ahead and take a second and answer that poll. Thank you for the one person who answered. I'll give you guys about 15 more seconds. By the way, I am a firm believer in empowering actors and giving them direct access to radios. Firm believer in that. I know some haunts don't for whatever reason, whether that's budget or, and that's fine. That's your choice. I can tell you, we opened our first weekend without radios, got radios the second weekend, and throughout the rest of the season, and it worked amazingly well. I will always advocate for actors being within feet of a radio. I love the honesty in this poll here. So if you guys can see the results, no one said we're awesome at it, which I think that's great honesty. Some of you guys said we're okay, but we could do better. Some said it takes multiple tries to get the message understood and acted upon. That's something that's solvable for sure. And then some said we don't use a radio or anything to communicate. Maybe you're small enough where you don't need a communication method like that, and that's fine. Or maybe this is a clue that, hey, you know what? We need to invest in something to be able to communicate amongst ourselves. I didn't create a poll for this, but I am curious. I'll ask this on the fly. Do any of you, and you can just put yes or no, use code words? In other words, code blue to mean medical, code red to mean something else. Do any of you use code words in your communication there? So Josh says no. Code brown, yes. Code yellow, yep, I've heard both of those. Steve says code pineapple. I would love, Steve, for you to, as I continue to go, this illustrate what code pineapple means at your haunted attraction there. Because if I heard that on the radio, I would have no clue what, as a manager, I should respond to. So it looks like a lot of you guys don't use code words, and that's fine. I am no longer a fan of code words, and I'll show you why, and the 4 needs method that I think will help you guys. These, I'm going to bring them up on the screen here. These are 3 excerpts from real handbooks from other haunts in the industry. So the first one is, if there's a medical, they're supposed to yell out code blue. Everything else is code red. Again, another one says code blue is medical, code red is fire, and then code black is any sort of physical assault. And then the last one says, it gives an example of what to say. Code red, you won't understand it, but the medics will, and so will 911. I think that right there, the fact that you're asking your staff to shout out code words that they don't even understand, should have been a clue before they actually wrote that into the presentation. But yeah, I am no longer a fan of code words. So here's what I'd like to do. And for anyone who's brave enough to unmute themselves, again, if you're in the mobile app, you can literally just tap, I believe, a blank spot in the screen. And at least for me on an iPhone, in the top right, there is the microphone symbol. So if you're willing, what I would like you to do is, you are in your spot as a scare actor. You're in the cemetery. I'm your manager. The fog machine is out of juice, and you have to let someone know to get the fog machine working again. Who wants to step up and pretend you're on the radio? You have a radio with you, and are going to radio me and tell me in the shortest amount of words possible to get the fog machine working again. And I'm not hearing any takers yet.
I'll happily jump in.
Go ahead. Yes, I would love this. So go ahead, and I will respond to you as if I'm on the radio. So go ahead.
Dave, cemetery, fog machine's out of juice.
This is Dave. Who's calling?
Dave, Keone in the cemetery.
Copy that. Stay on your radio. I will send tech over to your position. Over.
Roger, standing by.
That wasn't bad. So thanks, Keone, for doing that. That was pretty good. That really lines up with my system of 4 needs here. So thank you for volunteering and doing that. So for those of you who use radios, or if you don't and are thinking about it, here's what I think is a system. And again, forget code words. Keone did a nearly flawless job of doing this. So the system I come up with is the 4 needs. Who squared what where? So again, don't focus on code words. Focus on, and this is for your actors or anyone who has a radio in their hand. Who needs something? I do, if I'm the one calling. Who do you need it from? I need something from a manager, or I need security. What do you need? I was just hit by a guest. Where do you need it? I'm in the cemetery. I think if you focus on these 4 things, and they're super easy to remember, who squared what where? Who needs something? Who do you need? You notice I had to ask Keone who was calling. That was the one piece he didn't provide right up front. Now, maybe I recognize his voice, but maybe I don't, especially if this is like the beginning of the season and you've got a whole bunch of new people. That's why I had to ask, who is this that's calling? So there are ways to get this information across in the shortest amount of time possible, and I'm going to show you guys that in a second here. So I mentioned I'm a big fan of radios for all spots. I don't mean it has to be a radio for every actor. So if you have 2 actors in a single spot, they can share a radio. All of my actors in my haunt are within feet of a radio. The radios stay off until they're needed, and the actors are empowered to radio for any of these things, whether it's medical, security. They need a tech because a light went out or whatever it is. They need management, or something is wrong with their costume or makeup. Maybe something got ripped. They are totally empowered to radio for all of these things. I also believe you need to train everyone on proper radio procedure. I have heard, so, and that means like your ticket booth or your front of house, or anyone who has a radio on them. I have heard too often, literally, someone come over the radio, hey, anyone know where the owner is? And it's like, who is that? What do you need the owner for? Where are you? I have so many questions, but that's the sort of dialogue that I've heard on radios at haunts too often, is people just come on the radio and say, hey, here's what I need, but I don't know who that person is, where they are, why do they need it? And now I'm asking a whole bunch of follow-on questions. So I'm going to break this down as an example here. So Keone, what kind of radios do we use in our haunt? I could find you the exact model. I'm not exactly sure because I didn't purchase them, but they're not Baofeng, because that's what I have, but I'll have to get back to you on exactly what the radios are. The actors, I have an earpiece just because I'm wandering around and it's so loud I need to be able to hear. The actors do not. The radio is literally just there. So I'm not sure what kind of radios, but we've got like, I think 30 different 30 radios of the same brand there, so they can all talk to each other. And we make everyone uses the same channel at our haunt. We are not large enough where security needs to be on channel 2 and tech needs to be on channel 3. Everyone is on the same channel, and that works for us. Maybe that doesn't work for you and you need to have people on different channels. That's totally fine. Again, this is all about what's going to work and make it safer at your attraction. But great question there. So I want you to see in one sentence, Anthony, in this example, has given me 3 out of the 4 pieces of information I need. He has called me, Dave. He says it twice, so it perks my ears up. Now I've heard my name called. Who does he need it from? He needs me. Who needs something? Anthony. He's told me his name. Where does he need it? The witch's house. Again, he said this all in one sentence and given me almost every piece of information I need. I tell him, go for me. He tells me I had a guest push me on purpose. He's very tall, wearing a red shirt, in a group of 4 people. So in that next statement, now he's told me, what does he need? He basically needs security or a manager to go find that guest and then take some sort of action. I tell him, I've received the message. Copy that. Stay in your spot. Keep the radio on. Because maybe I need Anthony to come to where I am and ID the guest. I actually have had to do that. So if he turns his radio off, now I got to go back to Anthony's spot and find him. So keep his radio on. I'll eventually tell him when to turn it off. And he tells me he's acknowledged the message. So really simple system. And in very few sentences, that information can be conveyed to everyone. So here's my very elegant and high-tech map that I created of my haunt. What I did is I used the app Map My Walk, and because our haunt is 100% outdoors with 2 different attractions. This is just a slice of it. And so I've mapped out the locations, the paths, where the actors are, where radios are, and what spots those radios cover. I don't know if you guys have a map of your haunt. If you don't, I strongly recommend making one that shows the name of your spots, where the extinguishers are, where the animatronics are, where the boo doors are, the drop panels, which actor is in what spot, maybe even where the speakers are, airlines, whatever it is. I think having some sort of map and being able to glance at it is key. Now, it's great to have the information. I know Anthony needs help in a particular area of the spot. Do your responders, whoever they are, whether it's a manager, whether it's security, whether it's EMT, do they know how to get there? So I'm going to ask you guys, just put this in the chat. If you were in your spot in the haunt, how confident are you that if you called, let's say for EMT, if you have a dedicated EMT or someone who can at least perform medical, how confident are you that if you said, I'm in the cemetery, that person could get there quickly and just go ahead and put in, yes, I'm confident, or no, I'm not very confident? Go ahead and put that in chat. So Steve says, yes, that's awesome. Mostly, Josh said, okay. Honest answer. So as you guys are typing, I'm going to just continue with the presentation here. So the responders, whether it's manager, EMT, security, need to know, depends on who's listening. Sure, absolutely, Josh. They need to know how to get to virtually everywhere, depending on what area they're responsible for. And here's something that I think some people, they might not think about at first. They need to know how to get there in the dark. I think it's great to walk your haunt and practice things. And again, I'm talking about whether you're indoor or outdoor. So if the house lights are on, that's different than when the fog machines are running and the lights are off and all the strobe lights are going and everything. And especially outdoor, it's extremely different. Walking through a corn maze in the daytime when you can see ahead of you versus in the night. So I'm going to do that again this season because we're adding a third attraction. I'm going to be walking so I know all the shortcuts, all the back ways to get from one spot to the next in the dark, in addition to the daytime, because I need to know how to get everywhere. So for example, an actor is hit by a guest in the catacombs. That's the guest is in the yellow there. The arrow is where the guest is. Where do I need to run as the manager to intercept that guest? If you want to type that into chat, that would be awesome. So looking at the diagram here, where as the manager or security, where do I need to run to get ahead of that guest? Because if I run to the catacombs, by the time I've heard this, the guest is probably already gone. So looking at the map here, so you can put this in chat, where do you think I need to run to? The crypt, they're actually see this file. It's probably my diagram. That would actually be going backwards. The guest is going, I can't really prove my so someone said the break, the mine shaft. Yes. So somewhere along there, and I move my little guy. That's where I need to run to. Running to the catacombs doesn't really help because by the time the radio has come in, that guest is continuing to move. I need to run ahead of that guest. So I need to know the fastest path behind the scenes to get there. So thank you for you guys who responded. I really appreciate that. All right, we're going to talk about some actual guest scenarios. And in this case, I'm going to play a few videos for you. So in this case, a guest deliberately pushed an actor. If you guys saw my first Facebook post and watched the video, this will look familiar to you. But if not, I'm going to go ahead and bring this up and play it again. So here is video number 1, and I'm going to go ahead and play it now.
Ah! Welcome to my lair. I hope you're having a fun time.
Back off!
Dave, this is Anthony in the witch's house. Over.
Go for Dave.
We have a guest in a group of 4 that pushed me on purpose.
Stay in your spot and keep your radio on my way.
Copy that.
I need you guys to stop right here for a second.
Okay, so I'm going to pause the video. So if you've watched it before, you know what my response to this person is. But I'm curious if Keone or anyone else, you can either do it in chat or do it verbally. What would you do in this situation? And again, I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer. Every situation is going to be different. But I'm curious, Keone, I'll put you on the spot.
With it being just
his
first
you were the manager
offense, I think it's appropriate to give him a verbal warning. Say, touching's not allowed in this haunt. If you do it again, we're going to have you removed. And then let him continue on through the rest of the way.
Okay, so Okay, so in your case, sternly warn the guest, touching is not allowed, and then let them continue on. That's perfectly acceptable. Does anyone else have something different that they might sort of action they might take? It's okay if we don't, if you agree. And again, you guys can type in the chat, or if you want to come off mute and just tell me verbally how you would handle this situation. I'd love to hear other people's feedback. Or I'll take silence as agreement. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just play the rest of the video.
I need you to step over here. No, you guys stay here. One of my actors said you pushed him. Did you push one of my actors?
But maybe he got my face.
The rest of you guys can keep going. You're coming with me. You're done.
But why are you kicking him out?
Because he chose to put his hands on one of my actors and push him. You guys can go ahead. Let's go.
Okay, so there is example number. Now you notice Keone and I had different approaches to what to do with this guest. And that's totally fine. In my case, I felt that guest showed zero remorse, blamed the actor. Now I know we're seeing the video of how hard the guest pushed the actor. Obviously, as a manager, you're not going to see that perspective most likely. But in my opinion, I think both responses are perfectly acceptable. So if Keone, a stern warning, first offense by this guest, feels comfortable sending him on, that's fine if that works for your hunt. In my case, I had a different take on this. I thought the guest was too much of a risk, and I wanted to get him out of there. He did violate the rules that they agreed to. He deliberately put his hands on my actor. I'm well within.
I think that's a reasonable reaction. The rest of the group did not break any of the rules, curious, and so it seems perfectly reasonable.
What do you think about not throwing the rest of the group out? I 100% agree. It would be extraordinary for I would never do that. I would never throw
we're all paying customers as long as they are following
just
the rules.
because
they should get the full
one
experience.
person was a jerk in that group there. So I totally agree with that. All right. I 100% agree. And again, this is where there's nuance, there's to all of these things. So, all right. So the next scenario is one that we talked about before, a reaction scare, an accidental touch. So let's see what happens in this video.
Wait, that was Theory.
Oh my God! I'm so sorry. Are you okay? I did not mean for that to happen. Are you good? Are you okay?
Try that again, Theory, and you might lose your arm next time. Go out of my sight, all of you. You might want to stay.
All right. So I'm curious, what was different in that video scenario? What was different about what the actor did? What was different about what the guest did? And then what was different about just what the end result was? Josh is 100% intent. That is probably.
I love how the actor stayed in character through all of that, responded appropriately, but still within character. And since the patron was not being overly aggressive, handled it beautifully.
%. This is the sort of thing that you need to tell or show your actors. And Josh is right. They didn't take it personally. They used the situation to stay in character. Thanks, Steve. Yes. They also, warned the guest in character. Hey, next time I'm going to bite your arm off. They could have even said, don't touch the witches or whatever. They could have been even more literal if they wanted to. But yes, everyone was right. They stayed in character. They handled it themselves. They could definitely tell intent. The intent was accidental. They didn't radio me at all. I'll never know that happened unless they tell me at the end of the night. There's no action needed. No one needs to get talked to. So yes, so this is where intent really, really matters for sure. You guys they're doing a great job with that. Really appreciate that. All right, here's a little bit different one. So in this case, this is my ticket taker who's in the pink shirt, and the guest, one of the guests, like, and again, if you guys have worked in a haunt for more than a day, you've experienced this. You know, a guest walks by you and it's like, whoa, you know, there's no doubt that they, you know, smell of whether it's weed or it's alcohol. You can tell. So let's see what Jessica does and what we do as a haunt when we find a guest. This guest hasn't even entered the haunt yet.
Tickets, please.
You're welcome.
I need your group to wait here just for a moment.
Okay.
Dave, this is Jessica. Tickets, over.
Go for Dave.
I have a guest who smells like weed. He's wearing a cowboy hat.
Copy that. Stay in your spot and keep your radio on. I'm on my way.
Copy that.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and escort them.
Okay, thanks.
You got it.
You guys can go ahead.
And that's it. So I'm curious, again, you can do this in chat, or Keone or Leslie, if you want to chime in too, I'd love your feedback. Or anyone
I'm curious,
else,
Josh, do you have anything stated in your rules about intoxication prior to
on that is,
the guest entering?
on what action was taken for that guest?
I'm sorry, I meant Dave.
You said, Josh, are you asking me? I'll answer to anything. That's fine. So I want to say yes. It's been a while since I looked at our actual sign that's posted. We probably have something that says, I don't know if anything says like they're forbidden to enter. But I'm sure it says it. I'm sure we have something. That's a great point. I need to go look and see what our actual guest rules are. But so let's say, you know, our guest rule says, you know, we discourage people from entering, you know, intoxicated.
So I've never seen an escort.
So I'm curious what
like
you
this
thought
before.
of
And it's
my action,
really
and I'm curious
to
in
me
the same
because
situation what you would do at your
staff has identified that they are potentially higher risk guests because they are potentially intoxicated. You're still allowing them to enter the haunt and have the whole experience, but you have someone right there ready to deal with any issues should they arrive. I think it's a neat idea. How does it work? Like, how have you seen it work? I think it's a neat idea. How does it work? Like, how have you seen it work?
What you saw, I have actually done. So I can tell you firsthand how it works. It works fantastic. Now, does it dedicate me to following that group through the entire attraction? Because in my case, I don't have anyone to hand them off to. Yep, it sure does. But is it worth the safety of my actors to do that? 100%. And I didn't, in this case, I didn't have to say a thing to that group. The group doesn't even know. Maybe they suspect why I'm following behind them. They certainly know, and believe me, I've done this. They turn around and I hear them say this. Oh, so he's following behind. Why is he following behind us? And most of the time they know. They know it's one or two of their friends who are like, you know, like really under the influence. So for me, it has worked really well, and it stops the issue from even the potential from even happening, because they know I'm right there. They see my earpiece, even though I'm in character. And like I said, for me and our haunt, and I've done this at other haunts too, it works extremely well. It takes a resource, in other words, at me, to do that. Your question, am I in costume? 100%. As a manager, I am the character. I'm Eli Crane, the caretaker. So at the beginning of the slideshow, you saw me, what I look like. So yes, but they can see my earpiece and my radio, so they know exactly who's following them. If they interact with me, I will definitely interact with them in character. So I have found it works extremely well. So even though I don't have a security shirt, you know, that would be an option too. They know that I'm there, I'm watching them. I did this with one group, and all three of them were definitely had partaken beforehand. They were fine, but the girl in the group was like extremely, I'll call it like handsy with me as we were going through, like holding my arm and putting her arm around me, being friendly. Now, should she have touched me? No, of course not. But I've been doing this for a long time. I can shrug it off. I can deal with it. I'd rather it be me than like a 17-year-old actor, having to deal with something like that. And they ended up being fine. Conversely, I had a guest. The ticket taker did not radio me beforehand. Got to the very first attraction, the witch's house, and decided to light up a joint. Like actually light up a joint as they were walking through the attraction. We are an outdoor attraction with corn mazes and everything, but I don't care if we were indoor. I confronted the guest. He gave me a huge attitude, claimed it wasn't him, and I threw him out. Because that was the right call to make in that situation there. So, so Steve says weed isn't so much of a problem for them, but alcohol definitely concern. Yeah, and again, it depends on the situation. Another situation, I love doing anecdotes, by the way. I think it was a group of 3 girls. I had already been called on the radio saying, hey, this group just walked by us. The one girl is like, drunk off her ass. Got in front of them, waited till they came out of the attraction beforehand, and the one girl literally like fell into the wall of the next attraction. She was so intoxicated. Right then and there, I'm like, you're done. Your 2 friends can go. You can meet them in the parking lot, but you are a safety risk. You can't even walk through this attraction safely. She wasn't thrilled about it, but they all knew exactly why, because I told them. And so she was done and her friends continued. So sometimes you won't catch them right at the beginning, and your actors are the ones who are smelling it or experiencing it, and then you've got to go find who they are. So Leslie wants to, what is my cutoff of intoxication where a escort were removed? So I kind of gave you an example there. Someone was literally stumbling, and I could just tell, based on just her body language and behavior, this person is not, is just a risk to themselves and to my actor. So in that case, I was like, you're done, but your friends they seem fine. They can keep going. So it's not like I'm taking a blood alcohol test and say, well, you're 0.01. It is a judgment call. Now, could I have done something instead of like do what I did with the video example, escort them, just walk behind them the entire time? Sure. So again, there's not one right answer all the time. I could have chosen to do that and then waited and see, did she stumble somewhere else and then thrown her out? So there's not always an easy answer, but I think the point is recognize that potential danger and do something about it. And by the way, the guests all know I'm right there behind them, and sometimes they don't like it, but that doesn't bother me. Yeah, sloppy drunk, not sexy at all. Steve, I completely agree with that. Let's keep going here. All right, so for my next one, a guest is going to get in the actor's face. So let's see a video example of what this looks like.
I'm gonna put you in my cauldron.
Get out of my face, little girl. You're not gonna mess with me.
Dave, this is Reagan in the witch's house, over.
Go for Dave.
I just had a guest threaten me. He is wearing a shiny glasses and a New Jersey baseball hat.
Copy that. Stay in your spot and keep your radio on. I'm on my way.
Copy that.
Okay, so I'm going to pause before you see what my action is here. So Keone or Leslie or anyone else, if you want to speak up verbally, that seems to work best. What did you see, or what are your observations in this particular scenario, and what might
it's an interesting situation here because your actor is
by one of your actors
very
for
young,
a verbal, I'll call it attack.
I think having an actor that young changes the situation a little bit.
It's my daughter, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. Definitely appreciate that. It's so
pretend she's not
verbally aggressive,
it's
but
because I
put
just
hands
needed
on.
other people. So,
I
but
think
I appreciate
a verbal
so
warning
pretend it's
for
pretend
first
it's
time
an
offense
adult.
is the
And
way
the
I
same
would go
thing
here.
happens. Okay, I love that. Josh disagrees, and that is okay. Josh says highly aggressive guest, remove them. And guess what? That if that's been your experience, and if that's the right action you think based on just how aggressive that guest was,
I'll tell you,
and
the
that sort of thing. Now,
screen
what did
froze
the
up a little
actor do?
bit, so
What
we're
did my
not
daughter
sure
do
we were able to see it.
when the guest was aggressive? And Keone, if you want to keep talking, that's fine. So what did my
Yeah,
daughter
if you can play it
do in
again,
that
that would be
case?
great.
Okay. Let me see if I can rewind. So let me go back to just that section there. I'll just start from the beginning because it's right at the beginning. So I'm going to go ahead and play it again.
I'm gonna put you in my cauldron.
Get out of my face, little girl. You're not gonna mess with me.
Yeah, so she refused. She refused to engage with him, which I think for an actor
Okay. Were you guys
is
able to see it
probably
that
the
time?
safest way that they can go. Keep their hands off, report it to management,
Keone, were you able to see it that
let the
time?
expert take care of it. Yeah.
100%. And it's hard. This is something you really have to teach them. It is hard to get an actor to do what you saw my daughter do. Literally, stop scaring and just be silent. Be like, on your way. Here you go. Because conversely, with someone like that, she starts to engage with them, even if she's staying in character and trying to like redirect and overcome. It's been my experience. I guess that aggressive is they're just going to be more. Anything you say at that point, they're going to be more aggressive. So she did the right thing. Psychologically, again, it's hard for us as the actor because we're so in the moment. Our job is to scare people. Telling an actor, nope, I want you to sit there and stand there in silence. That's hard. It's hard for me to do. But this is an example of where, because guess what? Now that guest, they're bored. Oh, you're not going to engage
silence
with me
also
anymore?
makes
Well, I'm
people
gonna just go on
very,
to the next
very
one, because
uncomfortable.
This isn't fun for me. This is one of these guests who shows up trying to ruin things. This is a great example of that.
Cool. Carry on.
100%. Yeah, because that guest is expecting you to come back at them, and just sitting there being like, yep, exactly. And Keone, yes, creating space. Yeah, so Josh, creating space equals smart. 100% agree with that. So let me skip for how I chose to deal with the guest. So Reagan has radioed me. I've told her, stay in your spot. I'm going to deal with it. And let's see what happens in this scenario.
I need you guys to stop right here. You will not get in my actors' spaces. You will not threaten them. They will get close to you, but they will not touch. Does everyone understand? Any more issues, and I will remove you from this attraction. Do we all understand? Excellent. I want you guys to have a good time. Go ahead and keep going.
Okay. And I have done exactly that. I have been very direct, with a group of guests who has done something like saying like, no, you will not do this. My actors will get close to you. They won't touch. Anything else? This is your one and only warning. I think it was Josh who said if he saw this, he would throw them out. And like I said, if that's the appropriate response,
You didn't single out any
I don't have any problem with that. In this case, I warned the entire group. What did I not do as I was warning the entire group? What did I choose not to do? Keone, go ahead.
You didn't single out any particular person.
Correct. I didn't say, hey, you in the New Jersey hat and the glasses. I didn't need to, because now that group is going to do the enforcement for me, because they know, well, I don't want to get thrown out because of Anthony. So if Anthony starts acting a fool again, they're gonna most likely help with that enforcement for me. So that's why I just warned the entire group. So excellent. I love the participation with you guys. Let's do the next one. And by the way, let me just play this video, and then you guys will talk about it.
What are you doing here?
Hey, Dave, we're having some buffering
Dave,
issues.
Scott, I'm in the Druid.
Try to start it over again.
Go for Dave.
Yes, he's wearing a black hoodie and a pink shirt.
Copy that. Stay in your spot. I'm on my way, and I'm sending medical. Medical, this is Dave, over.
Go for medical.
I need you to go to the Druid Circle and check on Scott. A guest threw a drink in the actor's face. I will meet you there, over.
Copy that, on my way.
I need you guys to stop right here, please.
Okay, so I'm going to pause it before I show you what I did. This is a legit scenario. This actually happened at my haunt last season. So this is not some far-fetched, how the heck did it get? Now, the guest should not have been allowed in with a drink. We talked with the ticket people and the queue people after this. And so that was a lesson learned.
You dispatched your medical staff to go.
What did I do differently? I know you haven't seen the end of it, but what so far have you seen that's
I don't think there's any way that you could know what was in that drink. It could have been hot. They may be burned.
Why did I do that? %. Yeah, I don't know what's in that. You're right. It could have been hot. It could have been alcohol. Steve says no drinks in the haunt, not even bottles of water. I believe in that. And this was a failure on our part. Lesson learned. Didn't happen again. So let me show you what the end result was. And this is 100% true. I'm not making this up for the purpose of the video.
Did you throw your drink in my actor's face?
I'm so sorry. It was a total accident. I just got scared and I just bumped. Is he all right? It's just right. I promise.
So, okay, I believe you. Because you're honest with me, I'm going to let you guys keep going, but I'm going to have to take that drink.
Sure.
Thank you very much. You guys can keep going. Go on ahead.
I'm really sorry.
I will let the actor know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Scott, you good?
Yeah, I'm okay. I guess I scared her good, though.
Oh, my God, you sure did. Well, I want to let you know, I caught up to her, made her throw the drink away. Turns out it was just soda, but she was really sorry. It actually was an accident. But are you okay to go for the rest of the night?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Let's go.
All right, excellent. Thanks, man.
Checking back in with your actor and letting them know what the situation
was
and making sure that they were in a place to continue with their
what did you observe me doing?
Their position.
%. Yeah, and as bizarre as this sounds, this scenario, it was apple juice. This is what it turned out to be. The guest literally, I could tell from his body language and how scared the guest was. It really was an accident. And it didn't happen outside. It was a indoor section of our catacombs. It's almost pitch black. I don't know if the guest even realized it happened because it's so pitch black in there. But this did legit happen to one of my actors. I caught up with the guest and did exactly what you saw, assessed the situation, sent medical, and let the guest continue after taking the drink away. And yes, I followed up with the actor to make sure she was okay and could continue the rest of the night. I think that part for all of these scenarios is so key, making sure that the actor feels safe and they can continue the rest of the night. So excellent job, everyone. All right, let me go back to my presentation quickly because we did a bunch of the scenarios here. And I think we talked a lot about this. You're not always going to have a clear choice to make. Even in this small session, we disagreed. In some cases, we said throw them out. In other cases, warn them sternly. There isn't necessarily an always right or wrong answer, but I think the key is, as leadership, as management, or even if you're an actor, make sure you know what the actions your management is going to take. Let the actors know your position. Inform the actors of the outcome. Now, you might not be able to do that during the show. Maybe you do it at your end of night debrief, or maybe you do it the next day. But I think it's extremely important. If an actor felt the need to radio an incident to you, let them know what happened, at least the next day. By the way, you're not going to catch everyone. Sometimes you just don't get a good enough description or whatever it is, or you just can't find them. But you're not going to be able to catch everyone. So don't spend your time running throughout your entire haunt, depending on the situation there. I think it's so important to have your staff's back. Here's some of the things of why having your staff's back just is really important. It's going to protect the haunt. It's going to boost morale. An example of doing that, and let me see here. Steve says he chooses sacrificing the guests on the full moon. Yeah, you could do that. I've had guests say this, and you might have guests who, you say, hey, did you do this? Whatever it is, you pushed my actor, you verbally assaulted them, you threw a drink. Nope, the actor's lying. I think this is a great response. Who do you think I believe? You or my actor? And they kind of look at you like, yeah, you're not going to believe me. You're going to believe the actor. In one case, an actor, a guest pushed my wife, who also works at our attraction. Who do you think I believe? Some guest or my wife? And we threw him out because there was no remorse, and it was 100% on purpose. I think that sort of comeback, if someone is saying, oh, I didn't do it, it wasn't me, who do you think I believe? I believe my actors. And I think that, and letting them know this is your stance, I trust you first, is going to really empower them and go a long way with them. Now, this doesn't mean actors always behave the right way. And these are all scenarios I'm about to show you. I have experienced at one haunt or another as a manager. So I'm going to talk about the first one here. I don't have a video for this. The video I tried to film just didn't come out. I'll probably do another one at some point. But here's the scenario. An actor comes to you and says, hey, during the show, so-and-so has been leaving their spot, coming to my spot, and making sexual comments to them.
That is an immediate
Leslie
dismissal
Keone,
for me.
Curious
One, you are
as a manager
making very inappropriate comments to another member of the staff. That's a huge red flag. Two, you are abandoning your job in the middle of the show. 2 strikes, you're out of here, man.
I think for me, it'd be at minimum you're done for the night. We will discuss this, and then pulling other information, additional information from
Leslie,
your other actors and getting the full picture. But definitely, that's you're done for the night, and you're not going back until this is resolved and confirmed as to what's happening.
Yeah, I think either one of those are totally appropriate, because there might be additional investigation needed before the immediate termination. So I'm in favor of either of those actions. In this particular scenario, this was the perpetrator. It was their first night. There was their first night there. I'm not going to repeat what they said. What they said was so over the line. There was no other investigation needed. They tried to deny it, but I completely believe what the actor who reported had to say, because it was just so no one would make this up. So yes, that person was fired immediately. Now,
you got to take them out of the show, pull them into a backstage area, or someplace where guests are not going to be there.
The perpetrator,
and where the other actors
where do you
are
do
not
that?
going to be there, so not the green room.
100%. This has to be something done in private. You praise in public, correct in private. I learned that a long time ago, and that is something that I totally live by. So I think great options there. And yeah, I can see Josh put there backstage or in private. But with a witness, sure, I'd be in favor of having a second person, or I guess a third person there to witness the conversation.
And I would also
yeah, I think that's
not
a
talk
great
to
idea,
them at
especially
the same time
if
in the same place. Keep them
you know, maybe
separate
the genders
for
are
both of their
different, or
comfort
the
levels.
age or something like that. Yeah, in any event, I would totally be in favor of having a witness there.
Yeah. No, that's a separate and protect.
Oh God, no. yeah, no. They were not within the same room when the conversation was had. So, so yeah, 100% agree. And then afterwards, I fully documented this. Literally at this time, at this location. Here's who said what. Here's the end result. Because I wanted to protect myself as well as the haunt and then act. And the next day, I let the actor know what the action was. That this person was immediately fired. And in our cast list, when we go to rehire for this year, clear, this person will not be coming back. All right. You can see my next scenario here on the screen. I actually do have a video for this one. So I'm going to show you guys the video for this. I think this is, oh wait, this is second to last video. So let's play this one and here we go.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah, what's up, Jessica?
I don't feel the best.
Okay, what's going on?
I kind of took an edible from someone.
Seriously? Okay. Well, you're done for the night because I cannot let you perform under the influence. And I've got to ask you, and I'm going to document this, who gave it to you?
Yeah.
Okay. I will deal with Anthony. I need you to call a ride because I cannot have you drive. Because you're underage, I'm going to be calling your mom and letting her know. I'm just really disappointed, but I appreciate you being honest and telling me because this is a huge risk to have you perform under the influence.
I understand.
I'm probably not going to fire you. You're probably wondering that. And I can tell you're really nervous about telling me this. So again, thank you for being honest. I need you to go call your ride, and then I'm going to deal with Anthony. All right, get home safe, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks, Jessica.
Okay, so before I show you what my response was, I'm curious what your thoughts are on the action I took for that actor, who basically confessed to taking the edible.
I think the one thing I would have done is had somebody stay with them until their ride arrived, mainly because if they've never had an edible before or they didn't know how strong it was, you don't know what you don't know what the reaction is going to be, and they don't know that either. You can go south real fast. And the other thing, depending on your state,
100%. It's not shown in the video, but in the actual
if they're given an
real life
edible
incident,
without their knowledge,
yes, someone
that is also
stayed
grounds for calling the
with the
cops.
person. Keone, anything else? Go ahead, Leslie. Yep, go ahead. Yeah, no, this person deliberately did it. But I understand what you're saying. Yeah, it was not a hidden thing. This person knew.
Definitely agree with everything Leslie just said. I think dismissing, not necessarily dismissing, but telling the actor they're done for the night, having any actor performing under the influence is a huge red flag. Big no-no. So sending her out is absolutely the right answer. I assume you also are going to send kick Anthony out that evening, if not fire him. I think firing him is probably the right answer.
All right. Well, you might be previewing, so I'm going to play the rest of the video and let's see what I did.
Anthony, come here. Yeah, we're here. Jessica just came up today. She's not feeling so great. She took an edible tonight. Do you know anything about that?
No, it's not me. I don't know what you're talking about.
No one said it was you. It's interesting that you said that. So let me tell you, she said it was you.
It's not me, bro.
Okay, she's underage. You're not. So I don't know where she would have gotten it unless it was someone of age who could get it. This is your one chance to be honest with me. Did you give her the edible?
I'm telling you, it's not me, bro.
All right. Well, I don't believe you. I believe her. And so based on that and our policy that you signed that says no drugs are permitted, you're fired immediately. I want you to grab your stuff, get off the property right now.
I think it's exactly what I would have done.
Okay, so I'm curious thoughts.
I think there's probably an opportunity for discussion after the fact, tomorrow, whatever. If he wants to contest his firing, for lack of a better word, can provide some kind of evidence that he was not involved or something like that. But that's all a situation, or that's all details for a later situation, not tonight while the show is happening.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
You mentioned that you have a policy that says actors
really
cannot be using drugs.
I said it verbally. What did I have that really gave me
it.
the leverage to fire him on the spot?
Mm.
You can have all the policies you want, but if they haven't signed it,
and what did he do with that policy?
Enforcement becomes a fuzzy issue.
Yeah, signed it.
The minute you have
100%.
that signature, that's why it's so important.
So
that's what you need. You have to make sure that if you have these policies and procedures and handbooks, that everybody has signed it, because that's going to give you essentially what you need to make the decisions that you need to protect your haunt, to protect your people.
Yep. 100%. I'm on solid footing right there. You read it, you signed it, you agreed to it. In my opinion, you violated it. I am with 100% my right to fire you immediately with no other reasons needed. And in this case, that's exactly what happened. In this case, the person was fired, never to return. Had the underage person's parents decided to pursue legal action against Anthony, in this case, that's up to them. Totally, they did not in this case, but that's definitely a risk too.
Dave, I'm curious if you want to talk about
your
thought process why you didn't call the cops
to do something like that. So, yeah, so that's how that situation played out. I guess I could have. I think so. Here's my honest thought process: is that I was more concerned with the underage person's safety because I could tell she was really out of sorts and was very scared, very nervous. I'm like, do we want to escalate to that level? Now, could I have and legally, should I have? I don't know, maybe. I mean, I don't think it's the wrong answer. It's just something I didn't think was necessary. I don't think legally I'm necessarily obligated to. I mean, I know she's underage, but she did take it on her own. I think the key is that I let her parents know immediately, and then it was up to them, if they wanted to call the cops or a lawyer or whoever. And yeah, so I think that's kind of my thought process of why I didn't need to involve law enforcement. I certainly could have, in that moment there, but I just didn't feel. I think we were able to handle it appropriately. The actor was safe. Parents were aware. Didn't scare that night. I'm amazed the parents let her come back. She didn't. The parents did not blame us. For that. They certainly could have, now we also get, speaking of signing things, we get parental consent forms that they know there is inherent risks and all. Now, a risk of being given an edible is not a legitimate risk that they're signing. So yeah, they could have totally taken a different stance, but the actor came back the next night. Believe me, she
absolutely.
never did it
I think the totality of the circumstances really matters.
Yeah, I think
this
that
is,
hope that
you know,
gives
an
an
actor that you have had working for you for a long time, and you have a, you know their whole history. I think that's one situation versus someone straight off the street in their first day. It's a very different situation. So just wanted to get some context.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And yeah, this is, again, there's not one right answer. You know, I know we would love to be like, this is the only answer possible. Yes. And in some cases there isn't. You know, you've got to use that judgment sort of thing. And Josh, I love the response there. Defaulting to the parents. It wasn't a medical emergency. Well, and I did remove the immediate threat. I removed the person. So yes, that is exactly the thought process there. All right, last video here, but I've still got a little bit more content, but I'm going to show you this one, and here we go.
Where did you get the knife?
I brought it from home.
Understand you wanted to have something with some real weight to it. We cannot have real weapons here at the home, but I'm going to give you one to use. Okay, fake one, because remember, we don't create. You're going to take this home here at the haunt. Okay, we're not going to bring this back. This is real other weapon. So does that make sense? I'm going to give you. All right. Well, hey, let's go put this. Remember, put this away, and then we'll work on getting you another prop and showing you how to use it properly. All right, let's go.
Dave, we cannot hear you. Try again. Say something. Got nothing right now. I can see you. Yes.
He's saying, hold on, he's fixing things.
Oh, thank you for translating, Les.
Happy to help.
Leslie is an expert at charades.
Actually, I'm pretty good at them. I'm also not bad at Pictionary.
I burst out laughing watching this scenario because I have a lot of children who work in my haunt, and I have had very similar discussions with them during the show. Yes, we can.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Yeah, it was like a hiccup in my computer screen here, so thank you for that. So I heard everything you guys said. I hope you were able to see the whole video. Fantastic. And again, that's my daughter. You can see it really wasn't a real knife, you know. So, but I was curious. So, Keanu, you said you've legitimately had to deal with issues like this.
This last year, we did a neighborhood haunt. I'm a home haunter, and brought a bunch of the children from the neighborhood to be our actors. And I'm going to say they all had a ton of enthusiasm. Some of them just needed to direct that enthusiasm into more safe and productive ways.
Totally understand that. Yeah. So let me go ahead and reshare my screen here, because I had to stop sharing just to make sure you didn't lose me altogether. There we go. So we're going to talk about this next scenario. I just want to wrap the one up, the weapon one in just a second here. This is real too. This did not happen at my particular haunt, but remember, I do Fearschool, so I go to other haunts and train. During the training session, we were doing an exercise with props, and I noticed this actor had a fake knife, what I thought was a fake knife. And I said, hey, let me see that so I can show you something. And my heart stopped. I was like, this is a real freaking knife. Like, why did this actor bring? And it was about that big. So like you saw in the video. So I talked with their owners and their management, about it. And obviously that actor was not allowed to continue using that knife. Just to finish just how outrageous the story got, the next weekend, that actor brought a blank firing pistol. I wish I was making stuff like this up. Now, he didn't bring any blanks or anything like that, but I don't know if he continued working at that haunt or not. But I mean, just to show you how things can just really go sideways. And I think the phrase you heard me utter, we create the perception of danger. We don't create real danger. I think that can help resonate with anyone who decides, oh, this would be a good idea to bring a real hammer, a real knife, or a real whatever. You can see in the actors, again, this is where intent matters. In Reagan's case, and in her case, this was an innocent. She had good intent, bad judgment, good intentions. That's why, I didn't need to fire her or anything like that. Let's just take it away and let's show her how to use a prop safely, a fake one. So I love all your guys' responses there. This I don't want to have a video for, but I just want to know what you guys might do in this situation, because I've had this happen too. A makeup artist comes to you and says, hey, Bill, I'm open all the time. And I see Bill, he won't come sit in my chair. He's always waiting for Sean to get his makeup done. I'm curious if you guys have ever experienced this. And if you have, what would you do in this scenario?
I have had this discussion with actors before and just explained that we are on a very tight timeline to get all of the actors ready. We do not have time for you to be waiting. I need you to get in that chair, get your makeup, and then get to your spot because we're opening in 15 minutes. Move it, man.
100%. And Steve, yes, don't have a choice. Time to stop being a diva. Yes, I understand sometimes that might be the case. In other cases, maybe they think one makeup artist isn't as skilled as another one. So Keanu, I'm curious, did you talk to the person who, was refusing individually, or did you address
in this
all
case
the actors
it was
together?
In the makeup room while they were standing there? So I was addressing just the person individually, but more than one heard it because we were surrounded.
I think
got it. Okay. And I think that's fine.
I think the one thing I would want to check on kind of after the fact is, in this particular circumstance, it's sit in the chair, get your makeup done, or go home. But after the fact, I would want to check and see, is there a personal conflict between that actor and that makeup artist that is preventing them from feeling comfortable with having that person do their makeup? If that is the case, then that needs to be addressed as well. But that's not necessarily something that I would start with. I would start with, get your butt in the chair, go home.
Yeah, 100%. And I think dealing with it either way is fine. The way I've dealt with it in the past is I address the entire room of actors and makeup artists, with those concerns. Hey, we're on a timeline. Everyone here who's a makeup artist has the skill, has the knowledge, knows what they're doing, can do anyone's makeup. So we don't have the time for people to be picking and choosing. If a chair is open, you go sit in it. And that's it. And I've seen actors who are like, they're sitting at the table and they're looking over and they see the chairs open and they're not going. And I'm just literally like, I need you to go sit over there. Go sit with Olivia or whatever. And that's it. There's no argument. There's no, I'm waiting. Nope. Sit over here. That's what it is. Damien, yeah, get it done and let's go. Absolutely. We are on a timeline. We got to open. Customers aren't going to wait for that. So you guys saw a whole bunch of scenarios. And when I first became a manager, I did not handle everything the right way. So this is a scenario I just kind of painted this picture of. I was a brand new manager at another haunt, and it was before the show, and the actors were there helping set things up. And I had an actor come to me saying, "Hey, Ryan is drinking beer." And again, this is only like an hour or two before we have to get into costume and makeup sort of thing. And I'm like, how do you know? He's like, well, here's the beer can that I pulled out of the trash that he tried to hide. And I believe the actor. I could tell, it wasn't like his and he was trying to, pass it off as someone else's. I confronted Ryan about it. He tried to make excuses. They said, well, so in other words, he admitted it, but tried to justify why this was okay. I told him basically, he's done for the night. He didn't want to hear that answer and I tried to do this in private, but he kept following me around until we were in the actor's room. and he wouldn't let up, and I lost it. I literally started screaming at him saying, I've told you, you were drinking on the job, get the F out of here. You're fired immediately. And now he eventually left. Now, who do you think the actors were mad at after that?
You.
100%. Totally, man, they were mad at me. Justifiably so. They were totally in the right to be upset at me. I apologized to them the next night. And I said, look, I was wrong. I handled this the wrong way. I should have done this in private. No matter how much he got under my skin, I shouldn't have let this happen. And I really learned from that. And it never happened again. And I hope the actors saw that the fact that I was willing to own up to a mistake, maybe re-endeared me a bit to them. But yeah, that's you're not going to always make the right call. And I think the key is just owning up to that. I'm going to go ahead and just skip this slide here. All right. So we're basically at the end here. So I'm going to bring my action items up here. So these are things that I think hopefully you can take away from this. Look at your policies. Make sure they're signing your handbook or your policies, and make sure that the actions are going to make sense. Remind your actors that some guests are going to show up with the goal of making them fail. And depending on the intent and whether it's physical, verbal, and what they do, there's actions to take on that. Don't focus on code words. Focus on the 4 needs. Who squared, what, where. Who do I need? What do I need? Where do I need it? And then who am I? Who needs something? Simplify the actor's responses. They can respond in character. They can respond out of character if the intent is harmful, and then get on the radio or whatever the communication is and let someone know. Make sure your managers, EMT, security, whoever it is, can get to spots quickly, and that they can do it in the dark or the fog or whatever. I think it's key to be consistent with your guest and actor actions. You can't play favorites and say, well, this guy's been with us a long time. He violated the same policy, so I'm going to give him a pass versus someone who this is their first year. You can't do that. And finally, let actors know you've got their backs and trust them. That phrase that I showed before, who do you think I believe? You, the guest who pushed my actor, or my actor? And my answer is going to be my actor every time. All right. So Damien said, yeah, his boss is a hothead. I'm sorry to hear that. So maybe you can send him the recording of this anonymously and just say, hey, you might want to watch this. Lesson learned here. Does anyone have, or what questions that we didn't answer along the way, what questions or scenarios, or how do I handle this scenario, or whatever it is, I'm happy to answer.
I'd love to hear your take on Damien's hothead boss from an actor's perspective when they have a boss who is, let's say, quick to the trigger. Recommendations for handling that type of situation.
So thank you for asking that. So off the top of my head, the first thing I can tell you is I'm going to be, as the actor, I'm going to be extremely reluctant to go to this person for anything, especially if it's something that I messed up on. Or probably even something I need help on, like, hey, I need some help with, how to use this prop correctly, or my scares aren't working so well, or what dialogue can I use? I don't know if I'm going to go to that person. So I'm going to probably end up going to my peers. I don't know if, Damien, if you have an actor manager or a trainer or something like that you can go to, depending on the size of your haunt. So how do I deal with a hothead? I'd probably, you guys kind of mentioned this before, I would never approach that person alone if I had a concern. I would make sure it's, maybe it's in the actor's room so everyone can see. So he is the trainer and manager. Oh, great. So you don't have anyone else that you can go to. Your chain of command sounds like it's from you to the owner or the manager, whoever this hothead is. That's a really tough situation. I don't know if I have an easy answer for you, other than for discussions, even if it's a discussion just between the two of you, maybe you need to do it in a public setting as opposed to like their office or, outside the haunt or something like that. That's off the top of my head how I would potentially deal with it. I'm sorry that you're having to deal with someone who's a hothead. Hopefully they're not a hothead for every single concern you bring to them. Hey, we need water in this spot. Oh, what the hell? That's a little unreasonable. So I don't know if that helps, but I guess my one piece of advice is don't deal with them in a private setting. Just make sure there are other people around. Have a drink and talk things through. That's a great suggestion too. If you have that sort of relationship where you can like sit down together outside of the haunt and be like, hey, let's say his name's Bill. Hey, Bill, you know what? I'm trying to bring my concerns to you. And every time I bring something up, I feel like you're screaming at me. How can we work together? What can I do better? So in other words, don't put it on him. Say, what can I do to help, you not be such a hothead? Don't say it that way, but you kind of know where I'm going. But Steve, that's a great suggestion too. So Keone, I hope that helped answer and for Damien, that answer that question a bit. What other questions does anyone have?
This could probably be a topic all by itself, but what kind of things do you make sure get into your actor's handbook?
Oh my gosh, it's it's huge at this point. But what I do is I've got like I'll call it an abbreviated version. So the things that I think absolutely have to be there are harassment. In all the forms that we don't tolerate harassment, drug, alcohol, smoking, vaping, all that needs to be there. Let me go back to my my one slide because I've got a bunch of the handbook topics on there. I think attendance is important. Hey, look, this many call outs and you're not welcome back, sort of thing. So I think the ones on the left are probably the most important. Workplace violence, the social media and media usage, important, probably not a huge deal. That just has to deal with, what photos and videos of the haunt that I took behind the scenes am I allowed to share, for example, sort of thing. Coaching, I think would be great to have. The other ones, the less used policies, they're fine to have in there. Some of them are, I think, maybe a little over the top nepotism, but I grabbed a lot of these from the haunted attraction industry's default template. They're ones that are in the handbook that I'll never have to use. I think the ones on the left are really the ones and the ones that I'll show here, I think those are probably the key ones. So let me see here. I'm able to send the slides. No, but you'll be able to get a link to the recording. And I think it's on youtube.com/
Haunting You.
Is it Haunting You? So haunting and the letter U. So it won't be there now, but in the next couple of days, that's the place to find the recording for this. So you'll essentially have the slides. They'll just be in the recorded format there.
Yeah.
So,
to that point, usually takes me about 24 hours to edit the video and then get it posted. But take a look at the Chamber of Haunters Facebook page because we always posted a link there when we get it up to YouTube.
Great. So Dennis, I'll go over this again. Sexual encounters among actors. I assume you're talking about like harassment. One actor is making sexual advancements. Another one. I played a video earlier about that, and again, I had to deal with this at various haunts I've worked at. The actor came to me and said, so-and-so is literally, in this case, leaving their spot, coming to me during the show and saying sexual things to me. I believe them by default. I think you just have to. I documented it. I went to the other person separately in private, said, this is what is happening. Did you say these things? Well, and again, no remorse, try to make excuses. As we talked about before, it was kind of two strikes in one, leaving their spot during the show and the comments. It also coincidentally was this person's very first day at the haunt. And you're going to create this sort of issue for me. The decision was easy. They were fired immediately, and I made sure they left the property. So the question is boyfriend girlfriend thing. So if the issue is a couple is, let's say, being romantic during the show, that's because that's when it seems to happen during the show. I think you have to move them. You can counsel them all you want. I think you just have to, like, especially if they're physically in a spot near each other or within a 10 or 20 feet walking distance, and all of a sudden you walk by as a manager and Bill isn't in his spot and neither is Jane, and you encounter them doing something, I'd warn them once. And then probably after that, I'd move them into as far away as I probably could, if that's an option. I have had to do that. Yeah, and I think, again, this assumes you want to keep them, and they're willing to work with you. So yes, you have to move them. They can't be physically near each other. Now, if we're a couple and now we're fighting, again, same sort of thing, move them to different locations there. Yeah, they're separated. Yeah, that's the way it just has to be. And again, you don't have to make a huge deal about it. I think you don't have to alert all the other actors. I would just talk to them both privately. I might even talk to them together and say, hey, look, this is what's happening. I cannot have you guys in a proximity spot. You're going to move here and you're going to stay in the spot. And this is the warning here. Yeah, and they're high schoolers. That makes it even even more likely, but also, I understand. All right, I know it's.
I noticed that interpersonal relationships are not in your frequently used policies here.
I mean, yeah. It probably. I don't know if you can have a policy around something like that. I mean, because like now here is one thing, and I didn't put it in this presentation. This is just my firm belief. Others might disagree. If you are a manager, you are not going to have an interpersonal relationship with a subordinate. You're just not. You lose that I don't know, ability to do something like that. So, if you're the manager, don't start dating one of the actors. Don't start dating one of the makeup artists or the costumer or something like that. The risks and the appearance of favoritism and that sort of thing, I think, are too high. I showed you guys examples of news stories before of leadership who literally got in the news for having inappropriate relationships with subordinates. In some cases, those subordinates were under 18, which makes things even worse. So that's my firm belief, that, look, if you're in a leadership position, that is just something you just have to do without, in being the manager of a haunted attraction or a zone or a department or something like that. That's just how I personally feel. You might feel different, and maybe it works out fine at your haunt, and that's okay. But that's how I totally
operate
feel.
On the
What if they're both managers? Damien said. I'm sorry. What if they're both managers? I think that's a little bit different, and it's consensual. I think that's totally fine as long as it doesn't interfere with the running of the operation. It's doubt that they're going to like bring it up to me, and say, "Hey, guess what? We're dating," But I think that's a little bit different because they are peers. It's when it's the
supervisor and their subordinate.
It's the in power and subordinate relationship. Even if it's not like if I'm the head of makeup, but it's an actor, so they don't really report to me. You still have that authority presence, whether it's legit or they just perceive it that way. Again, you're just the harassment potential for issues, I think, is too great. And yeah, that might mean you're not allowed to do that. So
if it wouldn't flight your day job,
your question,
don't let it fly the haunt, is kind of a quick and dirty rule of thumb.
Yeah, for sure. You wouldn't tell your mom. That's another thing I've heard. Yeah, either one. Yeah, if you wouldn't tell them what you're up to, well, okay, well, maybe you shouldn't be up to that then. So you don't want them wagging the finger. So last call for any feedback or questions. Oh, let me see. Someone put a question. over here. So this is a while. So most negative incidents tend to revolve around teenagers and young adults with autism with their parents, often accompanied by allegations of racism and feeling threatened. Head warned actors about this one. So, it's not really a question, just more feedback about teenagers, young adults with autism, allegations of racism and feeling threatened. That's a really tough scenario there. Without knowing the specifics of a particular incident, it's hard for me to give a recommendation for something like that. Again, you just have to be really cautious. Just treat everyone fair. Treat everyone how you'd want to be treated. Yeah, people with special needs, there might be some accommodations that you have to make. But yeah, that is without knowing a specific scenario, it'd be hard for me to address something more about that. Someone said they get harassed by female customers. That can happen. And I think remember, it's the whole physical, verbal, because those are the only two things they can do to us. And then it's the intent. Is this, here's the thing, playful, I'm being playful, but I'm let's call it sexually harassing an actor. That's still not cool. I would consider that under the harmful category there. And if I was the actor, they should radio that in and let someone know that this is happening and what they look like and what they said. And I would probably do something similar to how, where I'd address their entire group and just say, hey, you are not going to be talking to my actors this way, or saying, those sort of things. If I hear it again, the whole group is out, and hopefully they'll police themselves and that won't happen. So that's how I would, again, deal with the situation. Again, whether it's the get out of my face or it's, some sort of sexual comments, thinking they're being cute and playful or whatever it is. It's not cool. None of your actors signed up for that. And as managers and leaders, you need to protect them. I firmly believe that you need to have their backs. All right. Looks like there aren't any other questions in the chat. I really appreciate everyone's participation. You guys have been great. I hope this benefited everyone of some things you can try at your haunted interaction. I really hope the radio procedures, the 4 needs, is something you might decide to implement. But just things to think about. All of my videos that I played are on my Fearschool YouTube channel. So please, my plan is to make more, especially around management, and how to be a manager, because there's a ton of how to be a scare actor videos out there, but I've seen almost no how to be a scare actor manager videos. So that's something I'm going to be creating more videos on in the future. So thanks to Chamber of Haunters for having me once again.
Dave, definitely really appreciate it. Give a quick shout out for all your social medias so that people know where to find Fearschool.
Sure. Fearschool.com. So again, if you are looking for any sort of actor or manager training at your haunt, I will travel to your haunt and we'll arrange what needs to be tailored and customized to your haunt. I will look at your haunt's reviews and say, here's what customers are saying about you, and here's maybe some areas to focus on. And we'll arrange, a weekend or a couple dates and times for me to come out. I've done it around the country a number of times. I have a haunt who's having me back a 3rd time. So I'm really, I guess I've made an impression on them. So I'm coming back. So yeah, fearschool.com is my main channel where you can find me. And
perfect.
How to get
and of course, if you want to find out more about the Haunting You podcast, definitely go check out our website at hauntingyou.com. This video will be posted up on our YouTube tomorrow. So make sure you're following Chamber of Haunters on Facebook, YouTube, Facebook and Instagram, because that is where we post all of the videos links to all of the videos after each one of these lunch and learns, as well as the announcements for future lunch and learns. So next month in May, I expect, don't know that we have it fully ironed out yet, but I think we're back to the 4th Saturday of the month next month. So we look forward to seeing you all then. In the meantime, thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you at a future Lunch and Learn.
Thanks, everyone.
Chamber of Haunters, uniting the haunt industry.